Imagine stepping into an old elevator, and as the doors close behind you, the lights flicker and the air grows heavy with silence. Suddenly, the floor beneath you feels like it's vanishing. You can't even comprehend what's happening as you feel yourself falling, straight down into a pit of shadows with no way out. Every breath feels cold, and the only sound is the distant hum of something unnatural, echoing in the darkness. What would you do if you were trapped in this elevator, spiraling into an unknown abyss? Would you scream for help, or would you try to make sense of the terror surrounding you? As the elevator descends deeper into the building, a soft creaking noise fills the air, as if the very walls are groaning under the weight of the years. A faint metallic smell stings your nostrils, adding to the growing sense of dread. The lights above flicker, casting eerie shadows that dance on the walls, making the space feel alive with something sinister. This is no ordinary elevator ride. The elevator is said to lead to the Pit of Shadows, a forbidden section of the hospital that was never fully explored. Over the years, it has claimed the lives of several people who vanished without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of their fate. Rumors speak of strange experiments conducted in the hospital's hidden depths, and the elevator's sudden malfunctions were believed to be signs of something far darker lurking below. Those brave enough to venture there never returned, leaving the Pit of Shadows shrouded in mystery and terror. The elevator has long been the subject of chilling legends, but no one truly understands why it works the way it does. Why does it drop people into the darkness of the pit below? And what is lurking down there, waiting in the shadows? Some believe the elevator was built by a secretive group within the hospital, though no one knows exactly who or why. Was it part of a twisted experiment, or something even darker? No one can say for sure, but one thing is certain. This elevator is more than just a relic of the past. Over the years, many have entered the elevator, only to vanish without a trace. Their last moments are nothing short of horrifying. Witnesses speak of hearing eerie whispers and distant screams coming from deep within the pit, voices that seem to beckon from the very bowels of the hospital. But no one who has ever ridden the elevator has returned to tell the tale. Some say the elevator is a one-way trip into the unknown, taking its passengers to a place where reality and nightmare blur. The disappearances remain unsolved, adding to the growing mystery of what truly lies beneath. To uncover the truth behind the elevator, I started by digging through the hospital's old records. The more I uncovered, the more unsettling the story became. The records were old, yellowed with time, but they held clues to the elevator's dark past. It was built decades ago by an unknown group within the hospital, shrouded in secrecy. No one knew exactly who was behind its construction or why it was designed to descend into the shadows, but the records hinted at a disturbing purpose. The elevator was not just a means of transport, it was a tool used in strange experiments that were never officially acknowledged by the hospital. As I pieced together these fragments of history, it became clear that several unexplained deaths were linked to this elevator. Patients, staff, even visitors. People who had entered the elevator thinking it was just a normal ride, only to be swallowed by the darkness below. The records were vague, filled with scribbled notes about disappearances and unexplainable events. The deeper I went, the more it became evident that the elevator's sinister reputation wasn't just a myth. It was real, and those who had tried to expose it were silenced in the most disturbing ways. The chilling facts hinted at something far more malevolent lurking beneath the surface, something that the hospital had desperately tried to hide. As I approached the abandoned elevator, an undeniable chill filled the air. The temperature seemed to drop with each step, as if the very atmosphere around me was thickening, pressing down on me with an unseen weight. My breath came out in visible puffs, the cold making my skin crawl. The air felt heavy, thick with an unsettling presence that I couldn't shake. It was as though the building itself was alive, aware of my presence and watching me closely. The silence was deafening, broken only by the soft creaks and groans of the old structure settling around me. The elevator, once a seemingly ordinary part of the hospital, now stood like a dark relic, its doors closed, its surface covered in layers of dust and decay. But something about it felt wrong, almost unnatural. The further I got, the stronger the sense of unease became. It was as if the elevator itself was waiting for something or someone. Every instinct in me screamed to turn back, but curiosity kept me moving forward, toward the very thing that had claimed so many lives. The closer I got, the colder the air became, thick with the past, the whispers of those who had ventured here before me. As I stood in front of the elevator, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper seemed to float up from the depths of the shaft. At first, I thought it was just the wind, the building creaking in its age. But the whispers were too clear, too deliberate, as if someone or something was trying to reach out from the darkness below. It wasn't a voice I recognized, but it was unmistakable in its intent, like a quiet plea for help, or perhaps a warning to stay away. I stood frozen, the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. The elevator doors remained closed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was stirring inside. Was someone still trapped down there, their fate sealed years ago? Or was it something else, something darker, speaking from the shadows, waiting for its next victim? The air around me felt charged, as if whatever had made that whisper was still close, watching, listening. I stepped back slightly, unsure whether to investigate further or leave before whatever was down there found me too. As I hesitated, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling, a sudden flash of light pierced the darkness from deep within the pit. It was brief but intense, like a flicker of something alive. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be another person trapped down there just as I had feared? Someone who had been lost in this forsaken place, desperately signaling for help after all these years. But something about the flash didn't sit right. It wasn't the flicker of a flashlight or a beacon of hope. It was cold, unnatural, and almost too quick to be real. The light seemed to pulse, then disappear into the shadows just as quickly as it had appeared. I felt a chill crawl down my spine as the thought crossed my mind. What if it wasn't a person at all? What if it was something far more sinister? Something that had been waiting, watching, hidden in the depths for anyone who dared to come close. The light had vanished, but its eerie aftertaste lingered, leaving me with more questions than answers. As I reached for my camera, hoping to capture some evidence of what was happening, the lens began to pick up something that made my blood run cold. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, but as I zoomed in, I realized it was far more disturbing. Strange, shadowy figures flickered on the walls, moving in unnatural, erratic patterns. They twisted and shifted, as though alive, as if something or someone was lurking just out of sight, pulling the shadows with it. I couldn't explain what I was seeing. The figures seemed to phase in and out of existence, their movements jerky and unpredictable. One moment they were on the left side of the wall, the next they were gone, only to reappear a second later, shifting in ways that defied logic. My camera's lens trembled as I watched, capturing these eerie apparitions that felt too real to be ignored. The shadows moved with a sinister purpose, surrounding the elevator shaft as if they were aware of my presence, watching my every move. My pulse quickened. Was it the restless spirits of those who had disappeared in the past, or was something darker and far more dangerous at work here? Whatever it was, I knew it wasn't something I could easily walk away from. As the elevator finally came to a halt, I could feel the weight of the moment. The doors creaked open slowly, revealing nothing but an overwhelming darkness. The air was thick with cold, almost suffocating, and the faintest pulse of light flickered from somewhere deep in the shadows. It wasn't natural, more like a slow, rhythmic glow, as though something was alive down there, hiding in the depths. The faint light didn't provide any comfort. Instead, it made the space feel even more oppressive, like I was standing on the edge of something terrible. I stepped out of the elevator, and as my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I realized the terrifying truth. The pit wasn't just an empty hole. It was part of something much larger, something that went far deeper than I had imagined. What seemed like a pit full of abandoned bodies was actually an entire underground network of forgotten rooms, each one hidden beneath the hospital, concealed from the world above. The walls were lined with decaying doors, some ajar, some sealed shut, all covered in layers of dust and grime. This was a place where the hospital's darkest secrets were kept, secrets that had been buried for decades. It was a labyrinth of terror, a place where experiments were carried out in total secrecy, and where those who knew too much were never meant to be found. Suddenly, the pressure in the air became unbearable. It felt as if the very atmosphere was tightening around me, suffocating me in its invisible grip. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, as though something unseen was pulling at me from all directions. Then, out of the darkness, a shadowy figure appeared. It was barely visible, just beyond the reach of the elevator's flickering light, but it was there, moving, watching, waiting. It wasn't human, but it had a presence that was impossible to ignore. The figure seemed to hover at the edge of the shadows, its form constantly shifting, never fully solid. My heart raced, and the air felt even colder, as if the room itself was coming alive, closing in on me. The force pulling at me grew stronger, more urgent, and I knew that whatever was in this pit didn't want me here. It wanted me to leave, or perhaps it wanted something far worse. As the shadowy figure continued to hover just beyond my reach, I felt an overwhelming sense of terror. My body screamed to run, but the invisible force was so strong, it was as if the very ground beneath me was pulling me toward the darkness. In a desperate surge of adrenaline, I fought against it, finally breaking free from its grip. I rushed back into the elevator, my heart pounding in my chest, my mind reeling with what I had just witnessed. The doors slammed shut behind me, and the elevator began to rise, though I wasn't sure if it was the same elevator that had brought me here in the first place. But even as the elevator ascended, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me, following me even as I tried to escape. The pulse of light from the pit lingered in my mind, and the shadows that seemed to come alive kept circling in my thoughts. I had narrowly escaped, but I was left with more questions than answers. What had I encountered down there? Was it truly a doorway to something darker? Or was I simply too close to the truth? And the elevator? Was it just a machine? Or was it something far more than that? Something with a mind of its own, guiding its passengers to the horrors beneath. As I thought back to the chilling events, the same question echoed in my mind. If the elevator wasn't just a machine, but a doorway to something far more sinister, what was it trying to reveal? The whispers, the shadowy figures, the underground network of forgotten rooms. What were they all connected to? And perhaps most disturbingly, the hospital's dark past. Was it truly buried? Or was it still haunting the elevator today, waiting for the next person foolish enough to step inside? The answers remain elusive. And perhaps that's the most terrifying thing of all. What happened in that hospital, and what continues to happen in the darkness, may never be fully understood. But one thing is certain. The elevator is still out there, waiting. What do you think lies deep in that pit? Is it something truly supernatural, or is there a darker secret hiding beneath the hospital's crumbling walls? Comment below with your theories, and don't forget to share this video with someone who loves a good spine-tingling story. Let's see if we can uncover the truth together.